A solitary man finds purpose in a stranger's arrival during a fierce storm. Follow James Carver's journey. Like, subscribe, and share if this touches you. Comment. Who's brought light to your solitude? The wind howled like a banshee across the jagged peaks, a relentless warning woven into the storm that had begun at dawn. Snow fell steadily then, but by nightfall it turned ferocious. Thick, angry flakes that swallowed the world in a white shroud. Power lines snapped somewhere in the distance, their crack echoing faintly through the chaos. The sky was a blinding void, erasing trees, roads, and all sense of place. Nestled against the ridge, a weathered cedar cabin stood firm, its logs darkened by decades. Inside, James Carver, 72, a man of few words and fewer visitors, sat by a sputtering wood stove. Dressed in a faded wool shirt, with sleeves rolled up and boots scuffed from countless winters, he found solace in the stillness, the pop of burning logs, the slow rise of his breath. James preferred it this way, quiet, predictable. He was midway through mending a fishing net he hadn't used in years when a sound broke through. Tap, then tap, 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 faint, hesitant, not the wind. He set the net aside, joints creaking as he rose. Peering through the frosted window, he brushed aside the ice with a calloused hand. Beyond the white blur, a figure emerged, small, stooped, battling the gale. Another tap, followed by a frail voice. "Hello?" James opened the door cautiously, the cold slashing through the cabin's warmth. Snow swirled in as the woman on his porch staggered forward, her coat drenched, scarf frozen to her face, hair matted with ice. Her hands trembled violently, clutching a sodden satchel. I'm sorry," she stammered. "I didn't know where else to go." James studied her, late 60s perhaps, her face etched with grief more than age, eyes wide with a mix of shame and desperation. He stepped aside. "Come in," he said, voice low. She hesitated, then stumbled inside, collapsing just past the threshold. He shut the door, sealing out the storm, her ragged breathing joining his in the quiet room. He guided her to a chair by the stove, where she sank heavily, shoulders slumping like a sail losing wind. For minutes, silence reigned, broken only by the fire's pops and the hiss of a kettle. He knelt, unzipping her soaked boots. She winced but didn't resist. Her socks were thin, damp relics from a convenience store pack. Fetching a wool blanket, he wrapped her feet, setting the boots near the hearth. She watched him, lips quivering. "I didn't mean to intrude," she whispered. "You didn't," he replied, not meeting her gaze. She tried a smile, but it faded. "I was on Route 9. The storm hit hard. I swerved. Ice, maybe. Ended up in a ditch. Tried walking to town, but the snow..." Her voice broke. He handed her a mug of water. She drank greedily. "I'm Margaret Holt," she said. He nodded once. "James." Her eyes roamed the room. Small, sparse, with a rickety table, 2 chairs, a shelf of canned goods, and a neatly folded quilt. No modern clutter, just time-worn simplicity. He poured soup from a scratched tin, potato and leek, its warmth filling the space. She blinked back tears. "Thank you," she murmured. James sat opposite, hands folded, watching the flames as if they held answers. In the pause, her breath steadied, a weight lifting. Her gaze settled on a shelf above the mantel, where a faded photo rested. A young James in uniform beside a jeep, squinting against the sun. "Army?" she asked softly. He nodded after a beat. "Long ago." Margaret's voice softened. "My brother served." "Marines." "Lost him in '98. James's eyes flicked to her, then away. "Mine's gone too," he said. "Unit scattered after the war." She traced the mug's rim. I've been alone since my brother. The quiet used to comfort me. Now it's just empty. He poked the fire, the glow dancing on his face. Takes time to get used to, he murmured. By midnight, Margaret slept on the couch, wrapped in the quilt, her breathing even. James stayed awake, hands clasped, staring into the embers. Ghasts were rare since his last comrade's funeral years ago. Silence had become his shield. But Margaret stirred something buried, a memory of camaraderie. A cough jolted him. Her forehead was warm. He brewed peppermint tea from last summer's harvest, handing it to her. She sipped, groggy. Still playing medic, huh? She teased. He paused. Used to. Her eyes drifted to a metal trunk by the woodpile. He opened it. Fatigues, a canteen, a photo of 5 soldiers, and a silver star, ribbon frayed. You never talk about it, she said, lifting the medal gently. Paperwork, he grunted. No, she countered. Surviving what others didn't. The storm faded before dawn. James stepped outside, boots crunching into fresh snow. The air was crisp, the world remade in silence. Inside, Margaret sipped coffee she'd brewed, wearing one of his shirts, sleeves dangling. Found it. Hope you don't mind, she said. He shook his head. Strong's how it should be. They sat as light filtered through frosted panes, the silence now companionable. My brother's laugh filled our house, she said. Now it's just clocks ticking. James nodded. Mine whistled, drove me mad. Now I miss it. She smiled faintly. Maybe the world's still kind if we look. By late morning, the sky cleared, revealing blue patches. Margaret stood by the door. I should go if the road's clear. James checked. Drifts were deep, plow delayed. Cars likely dead in the ditch, he said after inspecting it. Tow won't come soon. She sighed, then added. Maybe I was meant to find you. He raised an eyebrow. Storm brought us both somewhere, he replied. She laughed softly. You talk deep when it counts. 2 weeks later, snow receded. Birds returned. A letter arrived in James's rusty mailbox, Margaret's handwriting. Made it back. Volunteering at the VA now. Told them of a man who listened, not by name. Enclosed is yours. A photo showed them on the porch, her smiling, his eyes alive. A note ended. Your fire warmed more than hands. It gave me hope. He placed it on the mantel beside his medals, poured 2 coffees, and sat with the empty chair. Outside, a deer watched through the glass. James nodded, the silence lighter, the cabin warm with memory.